From The Giver to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I've got the first lines of 5 famous books, and you have to guess which one is which. This is Trivia with Buds. Pop Culture Pals, it's your buddy Ryan Buds, and I am excited today because I have a little challenge for you. This is the podcast that comes out every single day. It is trivia and pop culture related. Hopefully, somebody referred you to the show. Maybe somebody that listens that you know is like, you would love this show. This guy does these fun little games and has fun guests on and gets your brain ready for all the cool stuff that it needs to consume for the day. So I hope that you are ready for this challenge today. It is a literature challenge. So I'm going to read you the first lines of 5 books off of my shelf at home, and you have to guess which book corresponds with each first line. So I'll give you the list of books first. These are the 5 books, and the first lines we'll be reading are from these 5 books. We have The Handmaid's Tale, made popular by Hulu as of late with their series, which is weird. I think that show comes out weekly still, even though it's on Hulu. I don't think all the episodes are around at once because my wife loves it, and she complained to me about that, I believe. The Giver is the next book. That was a great book. I think a lot of people had to read in like 7th, 8th grade. The Giver. Another book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, a savage journey to the heart of the American dream. Hunter S. Thompson had to read that in college. Next up, The Talented Mr. Ripley. That's a fun book. I have the whole Ripley series in hardcover edition. I've only ever read the first one, but I really liked it, and I'm going to get to those other books eventually. And your last book of this 5-book challenge is Life of Pi, a novel by Jan Martel. The movie was great. I haven't read the book, but that was from my wife's collection as well. So I'm going to read you the first lines of these books, and you are trying to guess which one is which. I'll read all the titles after each line so you have an idea of what it could be. This is the first book. What is this one? This is the first line. Let's jump into it. It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. That is the line. It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. What book do you think that was? Was that The Handmaid's Tale, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Giver, Talented Mr. Ripley, or Life of Pi? What do you think? Here is your next passage. This is the first line of one of those books on your list. Here is the line. Tom glanced behind him and saw the man coming out of the green cage heading his way. Tom glanced behind him and saw the man coming out of the green cage heading his way. Is that Life of Pi, The Talented Mr. Ripley, The Giver, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or The Handmaid's Tale? Here comes your next first line. We slept in what had once been the gymnasium. We slept in what had once been the gymnasium. That is the first line. We slept in what had once been the gymnasium. Is that The Giver, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Handmaid's Tale, Talented Mr. Ripley, or Life of Pi? Here is your next first line. Let's see if you can match this one up. My suffering left me sad and gloomy. My suffering left me sad and gloomy. That is the first line of which book? Is it Life of Pi, Talented Mr. Ripley, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Giver, or The Handmaid's Tale? And your last first line, here it is. We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. Was that The Giver, The Handmaid's Tale, Life of Pi, The Talented Mr. Ripley, or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? That is your challenge for today. You guys are trying to figure that out. In the meantime, I'm going to play you some fun audio I found. I don't know if you know this, but they do trailers for books. So this is some interesting audio I found for a trailer for a book. Here we go.
The #1 best-selling author R.L. Stine wants to give you lots and lots of goosebumps in 3 different book series. First, Goosebumps, where the terror began and the screams go on forever and ever. Then, give yourself Goosebumps, where you choose from 20 different scary endings. And don't forget, Goosebumps presents books based on the Goosebumps TV show with creepy color photos inside. From Parachute Press and Scholastic, available wherever books are sold. Write us to get information on how to join the all-new Goosebumps fan club. Goosebumps, they're so good, it's scary.
What did you think of that audio for that book? Does that make you want to read that book? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I hope you were trying to figure out the answers to these questions about the first lines of books. These are just 5 books from my shelf. Again, your answers were The Giver, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Handmaid's Tale, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and Life of Pi. Here was the first one. It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. That was the first line of The Giver by Lois Lowry. That is a great book, The Giver. The movie with Taylor Swift in it. Not so good, but worth watching. Kind of cool. Some cool scenes. Your next one, I believe, was this one. Tom glanced behind him and saw the man coming out of the green cage heading his way. That is The Talented Mr. Ripley. Talented Mr. Ripley, Matt Damon in that movie. He kills Jude Law with an oar. I hope that's not a spoiler, but that was in the trailer as well. And then he takes over his life. And then there was 4 or 5 more books about that. And they've made a few movies, but I am going to eventually read the rest of those books. Here was your next one. The first line from this one was, we slept in what had once been the gymnasium. That is The Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale. I have not read it and I have not seen it, but I do walk in the living room when they're watching the show, and it looks very dystopian and very odd. So I'll have to dive into it at some point. Your next one was Life of Pi, and let's read that first line. Let's check it out here. My suffering left me sad and gloomy. Life of Pi. I saw that movie on Thanksgiving Day a couple years back with the wife. Life of Pi. Really cool visual movie, and I love when they go to that island that like glows and is alive towards the end. We saw it at AMC City Walk when they had just remodeled it, I believe it was, in Burbank, California area. It was very, very cool. I highly suggest you watch that movie. Here is the first line of the last one, and by process of elimination, you know that is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We are somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. Who hasn't been on the edge of Barstow when the drugs began to take hold? Those were your 5 books, everybody. Hope you had a good time trying to figure out that challenge. If you have an idea for a future daily podcast episode, maybe you have a little thing that you do with your family, maybe you play something when you're on road trips, send it my way. I would love to hijack it and use it for this podcast. If you like the show, rate, review, and subscribe, and we hope that you keep checking it out for all kinds of fun, unique challenges day after day. And come play a live event with me. Go to triviawithbuds.com. If you live around Southern California, click on the events and RSVP for a bonus point and show up with your team to dominate the pop culture trivia landscape. Thanks again for listening. I've been Ryan Buds. Have a good one. Cheers.